Today, we talk about ponies. Guys, it's coming. My Little Pony the movie, 2017.
Aren't you excited?
We're here to talk about the movie news.
Let's talk about this movie.
What happened?
The fuck?
What's going on? Oh no. We're in a dream. Oh, that's right. We're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. So, we're gonna talk about the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So, what did you think about the original movie?
Original one's pretty good. It's actually pretty terrifying. If we were to compare it to like Friday the 13th, this one's actually
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's got Johnny Depp for starters.
Hey, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Blood just all out of the bed. It eats him. And he just.
We actually get to see how people die in very creative ways.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the story? What do you like about the story?
You know, I find the concept of there was more of a story to this. This was like there's a guy that's appearing in dreams, and every time he does, he kills someone. Why is he doing it? Okay, there's your movie.
It's a cool concept.
It's yeah. Get killed in your sleep.
I'm gonna tell you, when I was a kid, Freddy
yeah.
freaked me the fuck out. I was
Really?
scared of him. Yeah, fuck, dude.
He never really scared me.
I never watched the movies. Because I was never allowed to watch the movies.
Oh.
So he scared me because I never saw the movies, so I imagined what could be in the movies.
Oh.
So I never got any of the funny parts.
That makes sense.
I got all of just the fucking scary, I've got a fucking knife hand and shit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just scared the shit out of me.
It is pretty scary when you think about it. Everyone's got to sleep. For what it is, it's pretty scary. Like, if I was alone in my bedroom one night, and my wife wasn't home, and that movie came on TV, and
Turn it off!
I just sat there in the dark watching that thing, I probably wouldn't be able to finish the whole movie.
So those are our thoughts on Nightmare on Elm Street. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Oh, wait. It's not over yet, guys. I gotta get my thoughts on this, too. So yeah, I'd like to thank Armchair Media for allowing me to give my thoughts on the Nightmare on Elm Street original versus the remake in 2010, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, the original from Wes Craven back in 1984 is probably one of the best slasher films ever made, and definitely one of the most iconic horror films ever made. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, the main antagonist of this film and the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, is by far one of the scariest, most intimidating characters in all of horror. At least that's just my opinion. One of the things that makes this original film from the 1980s so great, I feel, is that the characters in the original aren't totally generic. I do feel like some of the acting is a bit, not that great, but I realize that this was an incredibly independent project that didn't really have a huge funding behind it, so I can understand why the acting wasn't perfect. And I still really like the writing because each of the characters had their own tics, they each had their own fears, which I really kind of appreciated with this film. It's how Freddy Krueger actually manipulates them and really terrifies them with their own fears and kills them that way too. I thought that was one of the coolest things about this original film. And also, this film actually gave Johnny Depp his start in films, which I have to say I am completely grateful for. I am glad that this gave him his start. I mean, he is just killed in a waterbed. And also, I just really like the character of Nancy, with her trying to figure out the mystery of Freddy Krueger, why he's hunting them down, and we get to see that the parents actually killed him because he was a child killer and they were just trying to protect their children, which I thought was actually kind of an interesting backstory. But really the biggest thing that made the original so great, I feel, is the fact that it was so imaginative. Like, the nightmares really felt like something that you could conjure up in your mind while you were sleeping. Because the thing is with nightmares, they are so freaking wacky sometimes. They don't even make sense. And I really like how they put that together in this film. It's the nightmares were so freaking wacky, so out there, but in a way, there's kind of a realism to that because that's how nightmares are. Which, in turn, makes it kind of horrifying. Like, whenever you see that part, whenever his arms are so stretched out and he's, like, scraping his claws up against the wall while he's hunting down his first victim in the movie, I thought that was intense. That was a very intense scene, I feel. I mean, it's kind of goofy if you look at it one way, but if you realize that they're really trying to capture nightmares perfectly, I really think they did, and it was kind of scary. And also, not to mention that there's just a certain charm to this original film because Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, once again, adds so much personality to Freddy Krueger. Like, he has all these awesome one-liners that we've come to know over the years, and just a whole ton of awesome lines. This is God. Sorry, I had to do that. That was the introduction to his character in the movie, like, full introduction. That scene gave me chills. I have to admit, I really love that scene. Whereas now I'm going to be talking about the 2010 version produced by Michael Bay, and while his production company Platinum Dunes really improved upon Friday the 13th, I really feel they didn't do the same for Nightmare on Elm Street. Because the original Nightmare on Elm Street did have its problems. I mean, the acting wasn't perfect. Some of the effects could have been better, but I do understand, since it was a very independent production in the 1980s, I understand why it wasn't a perfect movie. In this version, however, it is a Hollywood production and had so much more potential to be so much better. However, it felt way too contained for a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the big pros of this movie are the acting. Like, the acting in this movie is actually not that bad. I mean, Rooney Mara's in this, even though she actually said that she wanted to quit acting after working on this, which I'm not going to get into, but I thought she did pretty good. I thought the acting overall was pretty decent, especially Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger. I really loved him in this role. I thought he was a great successor to Robert Englund, and he just brought this extra chill factor to the character, I feel. And also the backstory with Freddy Krueger and why he's hunting these kids down is a little better explained in this film than it is in the original. However, I think maybe that's one reason why the original might be better, is because there's somewhat of a mystery to why exactly he is hunting these kids down. Because Freddy Krueger in himself is a very mysterious figure. And instead of Freddy using the kids' very individual and unique fears to kill them, he actually just pretty much brings them to a boiler room or something, like bring them to his nightmare instead of their own nightmares, which I kind of felt was where it got too contained. There was no real imagination, I feel. I mean, there were a couple points, like whenever we see Nancy in the snow and Freddy comes up and licks her right on the cheek. I thought that was kind of a nice little touch. And they recreate the one part where he comes through the wall. But still, for the most part, the nightmares in this movie are kind of lazy. Now, them bringing in the touches of sleep deprivation and all that, and explaining that and how it really screws with your mind, I thought that was kind of a nice touch. I really thought it was kind of neat. But, yeah, other than that, once again, I just think the nightmares were just handled in a very lazy fashion. The differences in how Freddy is defeated in the original versus the remake are two entirely different things, because in the original, it's far more symbolic, as Nancy pretty much turns her back to Freddy, as in, like, not letting fear prevail, and that's how he is defeated, is because Freddy, in the end, is just a boogeyman. He is just this figment of these kids' imaginations that haunts them, and with her turning her back to him and that defeats him, that really added a lot more depth and very symbolic meaning to the film, I feel. Whereas in the remake, they just bring him into the real world, they chop his head off, and they burn down a building with him in it. Not much symbolism there. So in the end, in my opinion, the original from 1984 is the superior film because it is imaginative, it has a very intimidating villain, has some pretty interesting characters, has an interesting backstory to Freddy Krueger. However, the 2010 version has some nice touches with adding a little extra creepiness to Freddy Krueger, I feel, with Jackie Earle Haley, and then you have the added touches of sleep deprivation and how that screws with your mind, and some better acting. However, the remake from 2010 is not as imaginative as the original, and it just seems kind of lazy with the nightmares. It just seemed way too contained, and I feel like they could have actually gone new places with this, considering it is made today where there's far more technology and you could make these nightmares look even more crazy and psychedelic than ever. And also, they probably had a bigger budget than the original movie, so they could do a lot more. However, they didn't, and this really, in the end, kind of felt a bit like a cash grab. Which is why the original Nightmare on Elm Street from the 1980s is most definitely the superior film. But once again, I'd like to thank Armchair Media for allowing me to do this video with them. It was a true honor. I had a great time. And honestly, I like both of these movies personally, but I do like the original a little bit more. But anyway, you could go subscribe to me at the DoomBox. It's going to be in the description box down below. Go check it out. And I'll see you guys next time.
Special thanks to DoomBox for being on our channel. Having fun with us over here.
Yes, sir.
Talking about scary movies and the like. Make sure you go over to his channel and check his stuff out. Give him a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. His channel's in the description, so click that stuff and get over there. Like it if you liked it.
Don't if you didn't.
Subscribe below, or else I'll come in your dreams and murder you with a knife.